roll call vote. Okay, Judith Humberg.
Here.
James Oku.
Here.
Natalie Sayre.
Here.
And Louis let us know he wasn't going to join tonight. So Louis Fagoni not here. Jonathan Winslow.
Here.
John Vars.
Here.
Bill Cook.
Here.
Thank you. Peter Markey.
Here.
Ryan Casey. Oh, you know what? I think we got Ryan in the, sorry, Ryan, you're still sitting on the attendee side. Let's get you promoted. Okay. Ryan Casey. Let's see if we get your sound going. Hello, sorry about that.
All right, I'm here.
Next time that happens, feel free to just raise your hand. That's what we've done in the past when we get stuck there. So sorry. Glad you're with us, Ryan. Fred Crowder.
Here.
And I'm Lauren Silberman, and I am here. Natural Resource Conservation Staff, Jim Howard. Okay, San Mateo County Agricultural Commissioner, Corin Whittle.
Here. And Lauren, I noticed that on the roll sheet that I'm marked as absent for February, which I was present.
Ah, okay.
Oh,
You
thank
know
you.
what? I may have just missed, now that I see everyone's missing there at the bottom, we will fix
Okay.
that in the
All right.
minutes. Thanks for the heads up on that. Farm Bureau Executive Director, Jess Brown.
Here.
San Mateo County Planning Staff, Summer Burleson.
Here.
And UC Co-op Extension Representative, Frank McPherson. Okay, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 out of 11 folks here, and we have a quorum. Ready to, want me to read the next one, John?
Either way, I could practice my reading. Number 3, adopt a resolution that as a result of the continuing COVID-19 pandemic state of emergency, meeting in person would present imminent risks to the health and safety of attendees.
All right, I'll jump in and make a motion that as a result of the continuing COVID-19 pandemic state of emergency, meeting in person would present imminent risks to the health and safety of attendees. Would anyone like to second the motion?
I'll second.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, let's get to our first vote of the evening on the motion on the table. Judy,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Fred,
Aye.
and I'm Lauren, and I vote yes, unanimous pass. We will continue with the virtual meetings. Next up, what we've all been waiting for like 6 months, if we don't kick it down the road again, is number 4, officer elections for chair and vice chair, item continued from March 14th, 2022 meeting.
I nominate John Vars for chair. And this is Peter Markey.
Second. Says Fred.
How do you feel about that, John?
Greatly honored.
I know sometimes in the past we've gone around and asked if anyone's particularly interested in any of the roles. I also would support John. You've been doing a great job stepping up to the plate the last couple months, and I think we're all really grateful for all your guidance.
I would second that.
Yeah.
Well. Yeah, thank you, John, for the good work that you've been doing. You've been serving beyond your previously nominated capacity. So thank you for that.
I agree.
Fred.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Me too.
Thank you, John.
Lucky you, John.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so I think I'm only able to do it with Lauren's support. So I'd like to thank our secretary for in that role.
For sure. It's I love working with this committee and always just here to help, whether it's with the minutes or reading the agenda for the sake of the public.
Absolutely, Laura, thank you, too, absolutely.
So it sounds like we've got some unanimous agreement on the chair side. Then we also have the vice chair role to fill tonight, which, as we've learned and been able to see the last couple months, when the chair is not available, the vice chair gets the lucky honor of getting to run the meetings.
Let me know when it's time to nominate the vice chair.
Well, we don't have a particular process, so totally up to the committee how we want to do this. Do we want to kind of knock out the chair stuff first and then go to vice chair? We can also do it together, vote however we feel like, either
Well,
together or separate.
Yeah,
I
the
think we
only,
should do chair first.
Cool. Fred, were you going to say something?
yeah, I was just going to say that the only people who can serve as chair and vice chair are individuals just serving in the position of farmer on the committee.
Right. Thank you for the reminder, especially for our newer folks. So yeah, I serve in the ag business role, so that's partly why I get to be secretary, because I can't serve as chair or vice chair. So it kind of narrows. If you see in the minutes on like the roll call sheet, you can kind of see which members are in those farmer roles. And it sounds like we want to knock out the chair one first. Any other nominations for chair or any other discussions before we do a motion around it?
Call the roll, Lauren.
I did want to,
Yeah, what was that, John?
sorry. Yeah, I wanted to just clarify that it is a 1-year commitment, or is it a multiple year commitment? I believe I was under the impression that it was just year by year.
Yes, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong here, Summer, but it's just a year. And normally, without the kind of unusual, past 6 months we've had with the turnover in committee members, the election normally happens in November for the following year. So it's going to probably be a shorter, even though you've been kind of filling the role since then, but the elections will happen again next November, not next April.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay,
So
do
you
we
gotta-
need to so we have a nomination and a second. I don't know if that stands for a motion or if we need to make a separate motion.
Got to vote on it.
Yeah, I would think that you would just call the roll call.
Okay, because
Right.
okay, so the nomination will serve as the motion. It was made by Peter, seconded by Fred for John Vars to be our chair. Okay, Judy,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes,
Jonathan.
Yes.
John, can we vote for ourselves?
Yeah.
I abstain.
Okay. I'm like, I don't know what the rules are there. Bill,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
and I'm Lauren. I vote yes, unanimous pass. Thank you, John.
I like to make a motion for vice chair. Louis Fagoni, I spoke to him and he said yes, he would be willing to run for vice chair.
Well, that's good to hear, because I think Louis would make a good vice chair.
Yes, he's was chair for the RCD for many, many, many years, and he was also the president for Farmworker at one time for many years, and I think he would do really well. So I'd like to make a motion for vice chair Louis Fagoni.
Nice.
I'd be interested in seconding that, but I'd be also interested in hearing if there was anybody else on the committee that was interested in serving in the vice chair position.
Same. I had the same question. And just so if anyone doesn't have the membership or the list in front of you, the other folks who are farmers who could serve as vice chair are James Oku, Natalie Sayre, Bill Cook, Peter Markey, and Ryan Casey. So anyone on that list also interested at all in the vice chair role?
Gladly second Louis when he's not here.
Yeah.
I'll gladly third, Louis.
Okay, well, if I know I haven't had a conversation with Louis about the vice chair position. At one point a little while ago, we had a conversation about chair, and he said he just shared that of all the days on Tuesday mornings, he got flower markets in the early, so he gets up at like 2 a.m. on Tuesdays specifically. So that's why he often needs to jump right at 9 or even a little bit before. So he didn't feel comfortable committing to the full chair role, because if things were running over, he could never, run the meeting to the end. But what I encouraged him is just to end the meeting then at 9.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, is that
Yeah.
that's a good incentive to finish the meeting at 9. And if it was going to run over, the vice chair could complete the meeting as well.
Certainly. Well,
If for some reason, Louis,
sorry, go
I
ahead,
was
Bill.
going to say, if for some reason, Louis, if it's too much for Louis, I would suggest the second choice of James Oku.
I spoke to Louis about an hour ago, and he said he would run for chair, and but we could vote on it if James is interested on it. We could vote.
You mean vice chair, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me, vice chair. Did I say chair? So I spoke to Louis. Yes, he's interested in vice chair. But if the committee members, some of the members would like James Oku, and if he's interested, we could vote on it.
I would personally prefer to wait at least a year before committing to chair or vice chair.
That makes sense. Well, we've got a nomination on the table for Louis Fagoni for vice chair. There were a couple people talking about seconding it. Does anyone want to officially second it?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Judy.
I will.
Okay.
Do we need to second nomination, or people just simply nominated and then you vote? It's not a motion, it's a nomination and then a vote. So I don't think we need to second.
Okay, well, I will preserve it for the record and double check the rules, and if we need it, I'll add it to the minutes. If not, I'll leave it just as a straight nomination. Okay, so ready for another roll call vote?
Perfect. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Bill. Judy,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Natalie. Oh, I don't know if I heard anything, Natalie.
Oh, I'm
I-
sorry.
Okay, thank you. Jonathan,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Okay, Peter,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Fred,
Aye.
and I'm Laura. I vote yes. Okay, we've got a chair and a vice chair again, guys. Thank you, thank you. Okay, next up, what do we got? Number 6. No, number 5. Sorry. Oral communications to allow the public to address the committee on any matter not on the agenda. If your subject is not on the agenda, the chair will recognize you at this time. Okay, looks like Audrey's got her hand up.
Okay, Audria. The chair recognizes you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
How many
Yeah.
times did you hear me say that? Hi, everyone. I wanted to let you guys know that the San Mateo County Climate Action Plan is open for public comment. And that there is, this is a revised climate action plan from one that I think was from 2014 or 13. And I worked with a number of producers to write a working lands component that includes agriculture more substantially in the climate action plan, including potential for carbon sequestration on working lands. Some of you participated in that effort with me, and I just wanted to let you guys know that that is a county policy document that's looking for public comment right now. So thought you guys would be interested to take a look at that and provide comments if there's anything you want to comment about. And I think that the comment period is open for like 2 more weeks, I think.
Audrea,
Thank you, Audrea.
can you, Audrea, do you have any information on that meeting that's going to be held for the, I think it's the climate action this week, Thursday, April 14th at 6?
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be a Facebook Live event that the county is hosting, and myself and someone from Carbon Cycle Institute, which was a consultant. It's a nonprofit that works at the intersection of climate change and agriculture that participated in the development of the chapter. They'll be present, and also Ryan Casey is going to be there too. So it should be an hour, and we're just going to be talking about what agriculture looks like in San Mateo County and some of the potential opportunities for building climate resiliency and sequestering carbon through agricultural practices.
Do you know if you have to be a Facebook account holder to get onto it?
I hope not. I think you might be able to watch it on YouTube. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this. I'm not the one coordinating it, but I can certainly ask the person at the county who is and answer that question for you and send you guys that information through email tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, let me find that out and I'll get back to you guys.
Yeah, and I think you probably explained this, but how do we review the document that you helped the county put together to provide comment on that? Is that
it is available on the county's website, and if you Google San Mateo County Climate Action Plan, it should bring up a web page. I will also put it in the Q&A, but there's no chat, so I can't send it to everyone, I don't think. But I can email it to Summer maybe, and she can send it out to everyone.
Yeah, I can
great?
email it out to the committee.
Yeah, that would be great.
I believe the web address is smcsustainability.org, and there you can get to the climate action plan, the draft plan.
I just put it in the Q&A, but I don't know who can see that.
I see it, Audrea. I can email it out.
And I'll make sure it's included in the minutes too.
Yeah, looking at the comments, Carrie's asking for that information, so. not the minutes. The Q&A.
This is the first time we've had a Q&A. This is new.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
new improvement from
Um,
Zoom.
Perhaps.
And Audrey just posted it, the link.
Can everybody see that, the Q&A and the link? You can, okay,
Yeah, I see the link. I'm at the
Okay.
website now.
I see, okay.
I think the people that are just attendees can only see the questions that. I'm not sure if everyone can see everyone's questions.
Okay,
Okay, 2 years in, we're still learning Zoom together, guys. Any other public comments? Okay, John, we are ready for the committee member one
Okay.
next?
Yeah.
Okay, number 6.
Is there anyone from the committee who has something to share that wasn't agendized, like to bring up now?
Summer has her hand up.
All right. Go ahead, Summer.
okay, I just wanted to make note to the committee of an email that was sent out, I believe last week, regarding an upcoming ag producers workshop through Mid-Peninsula Open Space District. So hopefully you saw that email, and it was just passing along from Mid-Peninsula Open Space District. They asked me to pass to the committee members the announcement of their upcoming workshop, which is on Tuesday, April 19th from 3:30 to 5 p.m. And it's they're in the process of updating their policies that guide their work around agriculture, and so are looking for input. I think it's open to the general public, but they're also specifically looking for feedback from the local, ag producing community specifically. So if you are able to attend, please do so. There's an RSVP link in the email that was sent out. Thanks.
I just have a quick,
Corin, did you?
thanks, John. I just have a quick comment. I know I talked about this last time, but we're having our Farmworker pesticide safety training in May. It'll be May 4th in Half Moon Bay. We'll have a session in Spanish from 9 to 10:30, and then another session in English from 11:30 to 1. And we'll also have a session, 2 sessions in Pescadero Community Church on May 5th. And again, that'll be, the Spanish session will be at 9 and the English will be at 11:30. And this training meets the federal worker protection standards and California regulations for field worker safety, pesticide safety training. And we're asking that people pre-register with us. So you can give us a call at our main number, 650-363-4700. And you're just trying to reserve a spot for the field worker training session. That's all I have today.
Thanks, Corin. So we're on to number 8. We still have the committee discussion and update of the current COVID-19 pandemic.
I think we missed the minutes.
Or sorry, that we missed number 7. Sorry, the
Worries.
minutes.
Okay, number 7, consideration of the action minutes for the March 14th, 2022 AAC meeting. I already know we need to fix the, oh wait, no, the attendance was from February, but it's kind of in the minutes realm. Was anyone else here on the February meeting that is not marked as present in the attendance sheet? Summer, I think, I know you were there.
Yes, I was.
And
And
Jess Brown as well. I think you were also there. I can't remember exactly.
No, I was not.
Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, and then Fred, looks like you got your hand up.
Yes, I was just gonna say what were the amendments that were made to the minutes?
Oh, just that, I don't know, I include the roll call stuff with minute amendments, so I wanted to make sure we fixed those two that that Commissioner Corin let us know about earlier in the meeting.
No, I was just saying on item 7 on the specific language here says that committee member Louis Figoni moved and committee member John Vars seconded a motion to approve the action minutes for February 14th as amended. What were the amendments to the
I think
minutes?
it was just a typo, if I remember correctly.
It was, yeah, and aren't usually any changes to the minutes identified in the course of the approval?
In
And
the
so-
wording of the motion, no, unless someone adds it to the wording of the motion. But the
Oh,
motion passed was to
Yeah.
pass the minutes as amended. So that was the language of the motion. Is how I've normally done it, but if there's a better way to do it, I'm happy to.
well, it is good to identify what was changed in the minutes from what as they were written and as they were approved. It really doesn't make much difference in the end, the outcome. But yeah, when I've worked in my past as working as a secretary, I've gone through and identified the amendments that were made in the minutes or any changes. So that may be something that we look up just on Robert's Rules of Order, or if the committee members don't care, then we can just leave it like that ongoing.
No, I think Fred is correct. You do have to identify what was changed.
So what is the change that would be made in these minutes?
No change in these, well, I guess as amended, it would say minutes were reviewed and committee member Fred Crowder noticed typo on page 5, paragraph 3. And identify the typo, what it was changed to, and then leave it at that, and then committee minutes approved as amended.
All right, committee member Louis Figoni moved and committee vice chair John Vars seconded a motion to approve the action minutes for February 14th, 2022 as amended. The amendment was a typo on page 3. Do you mind if I can just add a sentence, a descriptor sentence there?
You could. I don't remember exactly what it was, to be perfectly honest.
I have it.
I think you're correct.
No, that's June. Okay, I will go digging for the typo if we want to fix this now. December, let's see, it would be March. March, okay. Okay, where was the typo? On page 4. Okay, page 4.
I think it was something that a word was actually left out.
It was. Yes, we left the word next out. If you would like me to be that specific, Fred, I can certainly do that.
Yeah, it would be good because when you say as amended, you really don't know what was changed. And even though that seems relatively insignificant, for somebody that is not aware of it, they might think that there was many amendments made to the minutes.
Yeah, and from my understanding, that's why the recording of the meeting is made available. So if people need that level of detail, they can certainly rewatch the meeting.
Yeah, I agree, Fred. I think there's also the potential that an amendment would be something significant. And if we don't identify what it is, then it's not clear what the actual change would imply or the effect of it would be.
Yeah, and I can see the misunderstanding there because, yeah, that was the motion, and second was, to approve the minutes as amended. And we didn't say anything about specifically what that amendment was.
So to address that, I am adding a sentence into the draft minutes from the March 14th meeting that says the amendment was a missing word on page 4. Is everyone comfortable with that?
Maybe. Or what was the
I
sentence
think
on page 4 that had
include what the word was.
Okay. Let's add the missing word. The amendment was the missing word next on page 4.
well, what was the context as well? I'm sorry.
I would
Laura.
prefer if you told me specifically what you want added, Fred. Otherwise, we're going to be editing minutes live with,
Okay.
with our precious meeting time. So what would you like added?
Well, since I don't have it in front of me, I can't tell you. And so at this point in time, I think it's fine to just leave it as it is, but going forward for us to be more specific as to what the amendments were.
The context was Committee Secretary Lauren Silberman moved and Committee Member Fred Crowder seconded a motion to table the rest of this discussion and all following items on the agenda to the meeting. And we added the word next for it to read to the next meeting.
Right.
Would you like me to add further context
What?
now that you have it?
No, I think that's, I think at this point in time, let's just move on.
Okay.
But just as a note for doing business in the future, that we address those types of additions,
Certainly.
amendments.
I have one question,
Yeah.
Lauren. On 3, 4, and 7, it has the motions passed 10-0-1 with one absent member, but it looks like that everyone was here, so I wasn't quite sure if that was meant to say something else instead of absent.
During those votes, Judy hadn't joined the meeting yet. So
Oh,
there was an
okay,
absent
okay.
member at that time of
Okay.
those particular votes. Should I add that detail in?
I don't know. It confused me because I was just looking at the roll call or sheet.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. But now it does with that information.
Yeah, if any Robert's Rules of
I'm
Order
definitely
experts
not a
know.
Robert's Rule
Yeah.
of Order expert.
If there's another way that it should be captured or documented for the minutes, let me know. I'm happy to make the change.
Yeah, Lauren, your records are sufficient that if questions like that come up, you're able to go back
Yeah.
and review them and address those questions.
Are my records sufficient?
Yes.
I mean, I keep notes on the meeting minutes that I use to draft the minutes, but I don't provide those notes to the county or to be any part of any public record. I certainly can. I have all of them from, the last 3 years I've been doing minutes. But other than that, it's just the recording is available to watch.
And I'm thinking as long as that's, like you were saying earlier, as long as that's available and you can recreate, go back to that question, specifically address what was what actually happened there, that probably is sufficient.
And Summer, feel free to jump in with clarifications.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we do have the meetings are posted online. The recordings, sorry, are posted online in full.
Any other changes that need to be made to the draft minutes? Okay, does anyone feel like making a motion about the draft minutes?
I'll motion to move the minutes as written.
Or as amended?
After all that, yeah.
Well, as amended, correct? Because we are adding a sentence to provide clarification.
We are. So motion to move the minutes as amended.
I'll second that motion. Yeah.
Okay, and roll call vote. This is item 7. Okay, Judy,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes.
Louis. Oh, sorry, he's not here. Jonathan,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
and I'm Lauren. I vote yes. Okay, we passed the minutes as amended.
Very good. So then jumping ahead to item number 8, as I tried to before, there's the discussion and update of the current COVID-19 pandemic. I'm not sure if there's anything new happening on that front.
Audra, do you have any updates on that, on the interest meeting? Any other details?
Sorry, I heard you guys talking, I thought the item was about COVID. I do have updates.
Oh, my bad. I totally just jumped to the next one. Wishful
Okay.
thinking. Totally about COVID. Yep, totally my
Yeah,
bad.
I don't have any COVID updates, sorry.
So usually I ask Commissioner Corin if you have any COVID updates. Apologies.
Sorry, no, there's not really too many updates on COVID right now, thankfully.
Yeah, knock on wood.
I guess if you're 50 and older, you're eligible now to get your second booster. So, but that's about it.
And then I'll say the stuff that we just kind of announce every meeting, which is, testing's available weekly in Half Moon Bay on Wednesdays. Actually, for the first time in like over a year, Coastside Hope has paused their Vax clinics they were holding on Fridays, but vaccines are still available at the Coastside Clinic and pretty much any pharmacy at this point. And testing is widely available. You can order your 4 tests. I think you can order another 4 tests from the federal government. And thankfully, no other news currently to share. Hope it stays that way.
Great. Then maybe it's now Audria's time to tell us about the committee discussion update for market development.
Hi, yes. First, I wanted to apologize for last meeting when I was on the meeting, but for whatever reason, unable to talk. So thanks to Corin and whoever else was getting my frantic emails and reading them out loud. That was extremely frustrating. But I did send you guys the flyer, so that has been distributed. We have about a little over 40 people signed up which is really great. And if you haven't yet signed up, but you are interested, please do so. We'll send out another notice in the next week or two. And we're still about a month out. So I think we're going to have a pretty good turnout. And yeah, so I think that's all we have now is the information is out there. People are signing up, and we'll see who shows up.
Great.
And
Thanks,
I
Andrea.
maybe an ask for you is if you want to share it with your peers, that would be great.
Thanks for that, Audrea. I know we're all excited to finally have the meeting because it's been something we've been talking about for a while. So looking forward to getting all together next month.
Okay. Item number 10, committee discussion to plan for future trainings and topics, including but not limited to water, planned agricultural district, agricultural land use regulations, wildlife conservation, and Brown Act compliance. So is this just a talk about what one we'd want to prioritize? Forgetting how this got on there.
I know we kind of did talk about priorities previously. I'm actually curious, I think maybe shift over to scheduling, like when we want to set some time in an upcoming meeting to start going. I think we were talking about land use regulations and Williamson Act type stuff first, I think. But Summer, correct me if I'm wrong there.
Oh, that's correct, Lauren. I think that was seemed like a general consensus was those two items as kind of first training topics, and it would just be scheduling. So we've been keeping our eye out on the agendas, and the plan would be to add them as we see some room on the agenda. So I know next month there may be one planning item coming to the committee. So perhaps we, I can work with John and Lauren and perhaps figure out if it would make sense to try to add in a training topic at that agenda, or if we may need to defer it depending on time and what comes up on the agenda for next month. But I'm open to any alternative options or suggestions too.
Oh, we've got a hand raised. Carrie's got her hand raised.
Good evening, everyone. A topic may be fire resiliency. I mean, I know it's as related to agriculture and what the ag community can do to be ready for the next fire event. So, I mean, that might unfortunately be timely and something that we should all be thinking about. Thank you.
Yeah, great idea, Carrie. I was just thinking, yeah, we can do it, before fire season starts later this month, but it's like with the rain the way it is, who knows when it's not later this month, later this year, but it could be sooner than we'd like.
Okay, so it seems like it's a plan maybe to review the upcoming agenda with Summer when we see how little or much is in there, and try to get either land use or fire preparedness into the discussion. Did there seem like any desire to I think that is a good and timely suggestion by Carrie, but seemed like we were wanting to review agricultural land use regulations and the Williamson Act as kind of the first item on that. So I guess we'll that'll be to the discretion of the county in consultation with the chair. That's okay.
I
with
believe
everyone?
Yeah, I think so. It sounded great. I was going to say, I think Summer, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think there's some stuff already prepared on the land use stuff. So maybe I think we have some more preparation together on that one. So maybe we start with that, and that'll give us some time to get together a fire one next. And I think Audrey, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, that makes sense.
Cool. Yeah. And Audrey and Fred have their hands up.
I just wanted to offer, if you guys wanted to do a study session on fire, that a former farmer on the San Mateo coast is actually.
You cut out. You cut out.
Yeah, she just dropped from the call, Peter. Oh, wait, she's back. Okay.
I think one of you guys muted me.
Oops.
Sorry. I wanted
me.
to offer that if you guys were talking about fire resiliency, that a former farmer on the San Mateo coast is now a wildfire coordinator for Community Alliance for Family Farmers. And so I can volunteer her, and also the RCD has a fire program that's been doing a lot of work. And I'm sure they would love to come and give you an update on what's been happening and efforts. So just some ideas of potential speakers.
Super helpful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, this is Fred. I guess on the fire resiliency, I was interested in, hearing what's being done, and then with regards to, trainings, Brown Act, the PAD, and all the regulations and those types of things. Those things need to be arranged somewhat in advance in order to get the speaker, whether it's from county council or from the planning department. I think I would trust you in the planning department to set those up on our agenda based upon, if you see that we have a light agenda, is to go ahead and put something on there, Brown Act or land use, and just leave it up to you to address those things. Do you need additional guidance from our committee as to our prioritization on those items?
No, I don't think so. I think that's the plan, is to go that route. And as we see light agendas, adding those items on. I guess, open to input, but I was under the impression the PAD and Williamson Act would kind of be the first items, since that's kind of generally, covers what this committee is dealing with at every meeting. So the PAD and Williamson Act, I'm not sure if it will just depend on the agenda. But if those will be combined into one training or possibly broken up into two. And then it sounds like beyond that, though, whether it's Brown Act compliance or the fire resiliency, given, the timing, fire resiliency may be the next item. Again, open to discussion from the committee or guidance. And I can work with Audria to get those coordinated if the committee does want to pursue hearing from the speakers that she's mentioned.
And I'll probably, on fire resiliency, be bringing something forward to the committee sooner than later as well. So I'll coordinate with you, Summer.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Those things sound really good to me and I'm in favor of them, but I'd like to make sure that the rest of the committee members agree on that prioritization. And wondering, how do we do that? Are we going to like poll everybody or, what's the process for this?
Or we could have it, does any committee member disagree with that? Or have any alternative suggestions at this time? Because that sounds entirely appropriate to me what Summer said.
And Natalie has her hand up.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
That is great. I have no idea how this is happening, and I'm so sorry. Somehow I got taken off the meeting. I'm sure it was operator error on my part. Anyway, I apologize, but when I was off the meeting for the last probably 5 minutes or so, and it was just about the time, I think it was Audrey was given ideas about this topic, and I didn't get to hear it. Can somebody say it again? I really apologize. It's something I really have an interest in, and that's right when I
No worries, Natalie. Got you. So Audrey said there's a former farmer on the San Mateo County coast who's now a wildfire coordinator for a community alliance for family farmers. And she volunteered her and the RCD fire program to help with training topics and related efforts around fire resiliency. Commissioner Corrin also said she can contribute to the fire resiliency topic, and several folks just agreed that they're interested in adding that to our training topics. There was some discussion about having it be second on our list after the land use and Williamson Act stuff. And where we left it is Bill was asking the committee if anyone was opposed to having that be a second training topic in our list of what we're interested in.
Perfect. Thank you very much. The question I would add to Bill's question is when it's appropriate to let me know is just when and where would it be appropriate for people to give some more feedback in terms of, hey, I have a speaker that would be a really good one. I mean, should we just let you guys know at the meeting and we all kind of talk about it? Because I really am hoping to get a wide variety of speakers if possible. And of course, within the time constraints we have. So anyway, thanks.
I believe this is the perfect moment. And so from my understanding, and jump in here and correct me, Summer, Janeth, or anyone who knows Robert's Rules of Order, we need to discuss publicly as a committee before it's agendized. So this kind of open topic on our agenda is for us to mention that stuff we're interested in, exactly like we've been doing today, and mention people that would be interested in having come as speakers. So I think it just needs to be mentioned in this, ongoing topic, agenda topic and discussion, so that Summer can get it into our pipeline and get it scheduled out.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's my understanding of it, but Summer, or anyone that understands meeting process better, please jump in and correct me.
I'd like to suggest that we a motion as to what is the top two priorities that we would like to request that the county help provide us trainings on, and that we make a motion to that effect and then vote on it, so that we make sure everybody is heard from, and we are appropriately really prioritizing what educational programs we want to have. I think it'd be quick and simple. I'm just not quite sure of the wording, but I'd like to move that the first educational program be about PAD zoning and the Williamson Act, and that the second educational priority be on wildfires and preparedness for that.
So a motion is on the table. I would second that motion, Bill. Yeah, I guess, and then I guess we could vote on it.
Sounds good. I just very quickly typed that down, so I think I captured the motion. Okay, ready for a roll call vote?
Could I get a quick clarification on that? Is that to vote on the priorities right now, or to have an opportunity to vote at each meeting?
believe it was to vote on the priorities right now so that they're set and it's something that we actually have a clear collective decision and vote on, was my understanding, Bill, but Claire, jump in if I'm misrepresenting anything.
That's my, I think if for some reason we felt that the priorities should be changed, that another motion could be made at a future meeting to modify the priorities, and I'd be wide open to hearing whatever they are. I just kind of want to move forward. I guess properly is the word I'm looking for, to make sure everybody's voices are heard in the decision-making process.
Sounds good. Thank you.
That sounds really good. I have a question just for clarification, but if in fact that, after this, we think, we'd like to add maybe this or maybe that, then we just bring that afterwards to the, for the next couple topics or what have you, right? Okay, all right, yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And if next week we think, we have this great speakers available and the other ones aren't, then, let's make a motion to modify it and do that. Or if some issue comes up that is, that is more important in our minds than any of these, well, then we can make another motion and move that ahead of the thing. But at least for now, we would have those two set as our priorities and move forward.
Now, this is good because that's two, and then we might get two more after and two more after, because I'm assuming this is ongoing. So I think that's great.
Sure, we might have, for instance, agricultural practices and climate change, or, any number of things, wanting to discuss social justice issues around agriculture or whatever, and educational programs with that. Whatever, I mean, it's open to me, it's open to anything, but I'm hearing that these seem to be the top two priorities that have been spoken about, and I'm just wanting to sort of formalize that.
Sounds good.
And I think it's appropriate. The committee provides the direction for the education that the committee wants.
Sounds good.
All right.
Ready for a vote?
Yes.
Okay, and just for clarification, there's a motion that the first educational programming priority is about zoning and the Williamson Act, and that the second educational programming priority is on wildfires and preparation, made by Bill Cook, seconded by John Vars. Okay, Judy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Natalie.
Yes.
Jonathan.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Peter. Oh, I think you might be muted, Peter.
Come on, Peter.
Let's see, ask him to unmute. There you are.
It doesn't matter to me on what order.
Okay, and what's your vote on the motion?
I abstain.
Okay. And Ryan?
Yes.
And Fred? You there, Fred?
I am here. I had to step out for a minute. I'm going to have to abstain from the meeting or this vote because I completely missed the conversation.
Not a problem. And I'm Lauren and I vote yes. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yeses. So motion passes. Okay, and rolling right along. Next up, we've got number 11, Community Development Director's Report.
Yes, so item number 11, I'll just run through quickly. There were no PAD, Planned Agricultural District permit applications heard by either the Board of Supervisors or the Planning Commission within the month of March. There was one planned agricultural permit application that was filed during the month of March. It was filed on March 24th, and it's for consideration of a planned agricultural district permit, coastal development permit, and minor subdivision to subdivide the South Cowell Ranch property. It's a 611 acre parcel into 3 parcels. The CDP is appealable to the California Coastal Commission, and this is at 1000 Verde Road in the North San Gregorio area. And the project planner is Sonal Agarwal, and her contact is in the director's report. And there were 3 rural coastal development permit exemption applications that were submitted during the month of March. And those are included as the attachment to the director's report. One was for some PG&E vegetation removal along Highway 1 from Tenidas Creek to Año Nuevo for fire prevention, and one for a CDX off of White House Creek Road in Pescadero for some fiber optic cabling on a series of existing utility poles that run within a utility easement. And the fiber optic cable is to serve the existing community around there. And then the third CDX is for an ag well at 2997 Pescadero Creek Road for cattle operation at that property. And the next regular meeting for the Agriculture Advisory Committee is scheduled for Monday, May 9th, 2022, and will continue to be held, expected to be held via video conference until further notice. So that concludes the director's report.
Any discussion on that?
Thank you, Summer.
Yes, and thank you, Summer. Okay, well, in the interest of time, I'll read us our first regular agenda item. Is that okay, John?
Yes.
Okay. Number 12, owner is not applicable. The applicant is the County of San Mateo. The file number is PLN 2022-00066. The location is various: agriculture and open space, rural and timber production. Rural if the property was used for commercial agriculture for 3 consecutive years prior to the adoption of the existing commercial cannabis cultivation ordinance 2018, and the assessor's parcel number are various. This is consideration of amendments to Chapter 5.148 of the San Mateo County Ordinance Code regarding commercial cannabis cultivation in the unincorporated area of San Mateo County. Please direct any questions to project planner Delaney Selvage at dselvage@smcgov.org.
And if I may just start off, the project planner, Delaney Selvage, is here and has a brief presentation if the committee would like to start with her.
Yes, I think that's a good way to start.
Thank you. I just want to make sure everyone can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, great. Oh, unfortunately, it says host has disabled share screen.
Okay, try again now.
Ah, there we go. Thank you, Summer.
Okay, thanks.
Everyone see the presentation correctly?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Delaney Selvage, and I'll be presenting on the proposed amendments to the county's existing commercial cannabis cultivation ordinance. As was announced, its file number is PLN 2022-0066. So the existing cannabis ordinance, just to give a little bit of background on what's currently existing within regulations allows for cannabis within existing greenhouses on ag zoned or traditionally farmed land. It gets a little more complicated within the ordinance regarding what actual parcels, but in simple terms, those are the parcels that are allowed to have cannabis cultivation licenses within the county. Within those ordinances are a lot of regulations regarding location, odor and ventilation requirements for the structures themselves, appropriate security measures, runoff, stormwater, and wastewater plants, along with various departments that are reviewing, such as the Regional Water Control Board, Regional Water Quality Control Board, EHS, and various other departments. Each license is individually subject to CEQA, so they go through the CEQA process as part of the permitting. As part of this update, we also prepared a programmatic initial study and negative declaration, but that was for the changes themselves, and the licenses still need to go through CEQA. So for a little bit of background, the cannabis ordinance is one of our relatively new ordinances within the county. The last time AAC saw the cannabis ordinance was in November of 2017. And that was the initial ordinance that was considered by the AAC. In December, a little while later, the Board of Supervisor adopted that ordinance. A couple months later, that ordinance was repealed and a different ordinance was adopted. And then in November, approximately a year after AAC saw the ordinance, it amended that ordinance. And that was the last amendment that was to the ordinance. So about a little under 4 years ago now. So within the past month or so, we had the initial study and negative declaration was circulating for a comment period. We received just a couple of comments, and those comments and changes in relation to those comments were incorporated into the documentation that you did receive for this meeting. Tonight, we're discussing the ordinance at this meeting, the AAC. And then tomorrow night, I will be presenting at the Pescadero Municipal Advisory Council. And we haven't yet determined a date for the Board of Supervisors, but we're hoping that we'll be able to move forward in the near future. So what are the proposed amendments? We have a couple things that we're getting rid of that were part of the original. Elimination of the 66,000 square foot per operator per parcel limit, as well as elimination of the displaced agriculture requirement that said there's ag in greenhouses at a certain date in 2017. And if there was ag there and you're putting cannabis in that greenhouse, now you would need to just essentially replace the agriculture somewhere else. Additionally, there were some water use and documentation changes that we have in the ordinance, some procedures for transfer ownership and modification, sort of looking toward the future as these licenses grow and change and ownership changes potentially. Additionally, we have the cannabis licenses are allowed to distribute between state and local cannabis licensees. And licenses were extended from 1 year to 5 years. There's currently 5 active licenses within the county on 2 separate parcels. And going from 1 year to 5 years will allow them to not have to go through the process quite as often. And then in general, there were just quite a few changes to streamline wording and just things that we as staff, when we were going through the process, thought would be a little easier, both on our point and the applicant's point, and wouldn't detract from the permitting process. That concludes my presentation regarding the cannabis cultivation ordinance. We tried to incorporate comments from both licensees as well as staff and other county employees to make the changes that we thought would be beneficial. I'm happy to answer any questions about the ordinance in general or the proposed amendments. Thank you.
Hey, Delaney, I do have a quick question. Thank you for your presentation. For the current ordinance, what sort of actions were required to replace the ag that you mentioned. So if they were displacing a current practice in the greenhouse, what steps were required to move that?
So as part of their license process, they would need to show us where they were going to put the ag, generally on the property or an adjacent property. They would say, you know, we're displacing this agriculture, and then they'd have to show us where they would be putting that agriculture. That would sort of be the procedure. We looked at it, and as we get further and further away from that date, we thought that it would be more beneficial to eliminate that requirement.
Thank you.
May I ask a question?
I was wondering if I should speak to that one, just because that is basically that displaced agriculture was based on a date in 2017 about what was held on that property in agriculture, and so it was meant to preserve conventional agriculture as we knew it at the time, but it actually. So it was a list that we held at the agriculture department about what was in those greenhouses. And so basically anything that was growing at the time was supposed to, that square footage was still supposed to be grown in a more conventional, I should say, I don't know if that's the best term to use, but other crops other than cannabis was supposed to be still grown on that property. So if it was in the greenhouse, it could be moved to outdoor production or something like that. So its intent was to preserve agriculture as we knew it at the time and not displace like current operations with cannabis production.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Corin.
And then Fred had his hand up, and then myself, and then Bill wanted to make a comment.
Yeah, I was gonna actually just say what Corin did, which was, I mean, the way that policy was originally passed, the idea was to benefit our local agricultural growers, to give them an additional crop that they might be able to, you know, make themselves more profitable. And so that's why, you know, there was an idea there is to maintain our existing agriculture and also limit the number of square feet that could be developed on a given parcel into cannabis. I mean, this was in response to the Board of Supervisors. It was in response to the community, the public, and also in response to the farm community, you know, because they all had concerns about cannabis coming in. And I can appreciate that, you know, it's a whole new ball game there. And so those elements were put in there in order to address the concerns of the Board of Supervisors that this not impact our current agricultural situation, and also the farm community. But I was also going to say that, you know, the 66,000 limit per parcel per operator, if there can be multiple operators on that parcel to where they can grow more than 66,000 square feet on there, which is really, I think, what's being done on some of the parcels that are being developed at this time. And so I don't know if that really changes anything. It just allows one licensee to go through and to, you know, have more than 66,000 square feet on a given parcel rather than having multiple licensees. So I'll just throw that in there.
I can certainly speak to that one, and perhaps some of the actual operators can jump in and share some more of their personal experience as well. A little bit of context for those who don't know me or my background. I'm a cannabis compliance and regulations and licensing subject matter expert. It's what I do in my day job is deal with these regulations and licenses all the time. In terms of that 66,000 square foot cap, what we've been noticing is that it's really limiting potential investment and new operations. It's not that common of practice to stack cultivation licenses anymore in the way that the ordinance was originally written, to have, you know, 3 or 4 licenses, each with their own bay or couple bays with 66,000 square feet. And what we found it actually doing is limiting investment in potential new licensed operators, because there's no plan to stack those licenses or have separate operators. And if an investor can't use the entire property and only a small portion of it, it's not as interesting to them. And, you know, James, and I know we've got the other license holders in the chat as well as attendees, jump in and correct me there, or add whatever else you think or you've been noticing as well on that canopy limit.
Yeah, James, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so I just want to say that I'm really for this amendment. Being close to the cannabis operations, we've seen a really big collapse in terms of being able to sell product, and so being able to distribute is paramount for the success and survival of a lot of these operations that especially have put in a tremendous amount of investment dollars into our farms on the coast side and are now very struggling to try and make that money back to support themselves. So I'm really happy to see these changes.
Definitely. And then I just want to make sure to make my comment as well. And Bill, I know you wanted to say something as well. I wanted to draw our attention to the distribution aspect of the amendments, because from my mind, this is also one of the most critical changes to increasing economic viability for these operations, and then also the jobs that they're creating in agriculture across the coast. But in particular, so there's two general types of licenses out there. There's vertical licenses or horizontal licenses. Vertical licenses we usually see in other states, and it's where one license is allowed to control the entire supply chain, not supply chain, but life cycle. So they grow, manufacture, distribute, and dispense under one license. In California, we have something called horizontal licensing structure, where you need to get a license for each aspect of that operation. So you need a license to cultivate if you're going to cultivate, you need a license to manufacture. If you're going to manufacture, you need a license to distribute and to dispense. And the way that California's structure was set up in particular is that that distributor license at the state level has a couple core and key functions that no other license type has. In particular, they're the only license type that can order the required third-party testing for products. So if you are a manufacturer or a grower, any product that's sold to a consumer in California has to have third-party quality control testing. But growers and manufacturers can't order their own tests on their own products. They have to have that distribution license in order to order quality control testing on their own products. And so just the way that this original ordinance was set up here in the county, it only allows cultivators to hold a cultivation license. It does not allow cultivators to stack that critical distribution license. So one of the important changes in this ordinance is allowing cultivation license holders only to stack that distribution license so that they can have some more control over their own products and testing and distributing them without having to go through a third-party person outside of the county who's going to take a pretty good chunk of what's already a very narrow margin. So I just wanted to make sure to share that context. It, from my understanding, and I'd actually, I'd love, Delaney, if you wouldn't mind sharing some more context on exactly what that changed. Did it turn out to just be for license holders that they can stack that distribution license at the state level? I just want to kind of better understand that function of the proposed changes. And thank you. I'll get off my soapbox now, everyone.
Sure. So the distribution change came about because of comments from licensees, and then further evolved through discussions with licensees for the wording of the change. We did hear a lot of feedback, as you were saying, that distribution was critically important to our growers in the county to be able to capture more of the profits of the product. So I think that its intent is to enable them to move their product around between licenses, either local licenses or state licenses. Regarding the state distribution licenses, that's not necessarily my expertise to speak about.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add in on the distribution. I think because this is a public meeting, I think a lot of people, when they hear distribution, they think retail. And I think it's important to talk about that that's not really what the distribution license is. It's really allows the cultivator, the grower, to have more of a marketing say on his own product, and has more control over the price as well, which I think is pretty critical right now for our growers in San Mateo County. So I just wanted to be clear about that, because I know that can be, that term distribution kind of makes people uneasy, but it's really more about ordering the testing that has to be done on it, setting the market price, marketing your own product. And I think every farmer wants to be able to do that in the county.
Super important clarification. Thanks. Thanks, Commissioner. We've got a member of the public's hand up, Joseph Otaide.
To be unmuted.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me, correct? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Joseph Otaide. I'm with Ono Associates, and I am in favor with the changes. I'd like to just echo on the fact that it's true, without the distribution license, and I want you to think of it as a wholesale distribution, we are kept hostage on our parcel. We can't either transport it next door if need be, nor can we even show it to potential buyers of our product. The hard part is that without the distribution license, it's going to be distributed by people outside of the county, and if the intent was to grow the cannabis industry, to save the agricultural industry in Half Moon Bay or in San Mateo County, it kind of works against this. Secondly, the cost of growing and the pricing is it basically costs more to grow it than to sell it right now, because the market is just destroyed. It's not making the money that people or others thought that it's going to be, and we're in the difficult position again, just being in agriculture. So I want to thank you for those that worked on the new ordinance and helping us out and helping streamline, basically helping streamline an agricultural product that hopefully one day will become federally legal, and people will understand at the end of the day, this is still agriculture. This is still potassium, nitrogen, water, the amount of good sunlight on plants. So thank you for voting in favor or thinking of the new ordinances and changes in favor. And thank you to the Planning Department and the Agricultural Commission for working on it.
Thank you, Joseph, for your comment. I see that Edward Wilkinson also has a hand up in the public.
Anybody hear me?
Yes.
I think we can.
I own Half Moon Grow, and I also thank everyone who's worked on the ordinance changes. I think they're going to be very good for the industry in San Mateo County. I agree with what's been said by Lauren and Corin on the distribution. Essentially, it just gives us more control over our products. It's nothing to do with retail. It's happening as it is without our distribution, but margins are being taken away from us by people outside the county. And being able to have that control gives us the ability to stay with the margins that we currently have. We'll make them better because the industry is in a downturn right now. So in order for us to thrive, that is very important to us. So again, I thank everyone for working on this.
Thank you, Ed. John, it looks like you're muted.
Okay. It looks like Bill has his hand up. And
Yes.
Fred.
We'll let Bill go first.
Thanks, Fred. Well, a couple of things. First off, I am in favor of not even having cannabis regulated. So anything that goes in the direction of reducing the amount of regulations on cannabis, I am in favor of. Secondarily, and that's another discussion that I would love to, have some time to really discuss, but we certainly don't have that tonight. The second thing is that I'm curious if somebody could knows anything, if there's any impact upon hemp in this changes in the ordinance, or if that's a separate issue.
Yeah, there's no
Thank you.
impact to hemp. Hemp is not part of this ordinance at all. So this is just amending the current cannabis cultivation. I don't know if there's any questions on hemp.
Thank you.
Okay.
I guess I'll go now. Through the chair.
No, please go ahead, Fred.
Corin is, or Summer or Lauren or anybody that's knowledgeable with the industry, is cannabis considered a crop that can be cultivated under the Williamson Act or Williamson Act contract?
Great question.
Yeah, I feel like this came up kind of last time. And I don't have the answer.
It's for Williamson Act contract purposes, it's not considered ag. That's through state legislation. It is considered a compatible use under Williamson Act regulations.
Okay.
So
Yeah, good. No, because I was thinking that the Williamson Act in itself and the tax benefits and breaks that come with that could provide a substantial incentive for cannabis growers to continue to grow conventional crop to meet Williamson Act contract requirements. That's not a lot of crop, right? But that in itself can provide an incentive to do so. When I, as the Ag Commissioner, when I originally was involved in developing this policy for the county, we were looking at keeping it small and making it something that was available to local growers. But the reality is the way that the industry operates, that unless you can do that and also have sales on your property or have sales direct, that it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to be competitive. And so I also support the transportation element and distribution element, because otherwise growers are held to, they can't distribute their own product and they can't determine their own destiny. So I think that's a good addition.
I got a question.
Sorry, I just was going to make a quick query. So when you eliminate the 66,000 square foot limitation, there's no limitation on size as this would currently be considered as the alternative?
There is a limitation at the state level. So depending on which type of license that you go after, there's a couple tiers. Lowest one being 10,000 square feet and highest being a square mile. Correct me if I'm wrong there, folks. There will be additional, in 2024, those caps will be not lifted, but extended significantly to allow larger grows across the state. But currently they're capped at a certain amount due to the state licensing.
Yeah, and the way that the county policy is written, if you get multiple operators, you get multiple licensees, you could take a 500,000 square foot greenhouse facility and you could put it all in cannabis, which is what I didn't want to see happen. But the way the policy was developed and the way the language went through, you could do that now under our existing policy. So yeah, I'm not comfortable with that. the reality is that I think that the market itself and the size of operations on a given site are going to be self-regulating. But I mean, my ideal, but you talk to people in 100,000 square feet, is a good size for an operation that's viable. At least what I've heard. There's people online that are more knowledgeable than I am. But as the county policy currently stands, you could get multiple growers, multiple operators, multiple licensees on a given property and develop the whole dang thing.
Okay. I see there's a couple more hands going up, but I interrupted Peter, I believe. Did Peter have a comment you wanted to finish?
I
up
also
on?
want to mention that the deputy county counsel who's on raised her hand, so I do want to give her a chance to talk if she wants to provide any clarifications.
Yeah, John, thanks. Let everybody go first and then circle back to me, John. Thank you.
Okay. I saw that Melissa had her hand up, as well as maybe we could start with you, Melissa. You have a title there, Deputy County.
Yeah, actually, I need to update my title. Thank you. Deputy County Attorney these days. Melissa Andrikopoulos.
Okay.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for the great discussion. I was going to say exactly what Fred said, which is to your point about the 66,000 square foot cap, although it on its face can kind of sound like a cap on the amount of cannabis that could be grown on a parcel. That is in fact not the way that it was designed or the way that it functions. It's a per owner cap. So as Fred said, under the current ordinance, the only requirement is that you essentially diversify the owners or licensees on your property. And what the county was experiencing was a lot of creation of LLCs and different business structures to essentially maximize as much cannabis as the property could hold. And it just kind of created an administrative burden without really limiting the amount of cannabis on a given parcel. So that was why I raised and lowered my hand, but I'm happy to answer any other questions if I can help.
Thank you, Melissa. I'm so glad you're here. It's really good to see you.
Carrie, I believe you've had your hand up for a while.
Thanks, John. I just have a question for one for Delaney and one for Karan. For Delaney, do we know how much revenue has been generated from cannabis in the last few years? And then for Karan, it was just maybe, are we going to have cannabis in our annual crop report? They're kind of related, but it'd be an interesting way for the public to learn more about, the cannabis production and viability in our county. Thank you.
For the revenue question, that's not some information that planning collects. I'm not sure if other departments collect that information, but planning doesn't.
Yeah, I could speak to that, Delaney. So basically, because cannabis is a federally regulated crop, it cannot be reported in our annual crop report. And to be honest with you, even if it was at the number of operators that we have right now, we wouldn't report it publicly because it could be distinguished on who actually is making the money right now. So we wouldn't do that anyways, just like we won't for a regular crop. But yeah, so I know that is definitely an item that people want to know. They want to know how much revenue could be brought in from cannabis. But that is not a piece of information that we're collecting at this moment.
Okay. James, do you had something to add?
We also had Peter waiting.
Yeah, whenever you're ready, John.
Okay, James has kind of disappeared for a moment.
I guess I've been muted.
Peter had said go to everyone else
Yeah.
There you are.
Can you hear me, John? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, Peter.
Ready? A couple questions I have. One was when I did my report of water usage with the state, one of the questions was, did I use any water for cannabis? And I said no, because I don't do cannabis, and I don't know why they asked that. That's one question. The other one is, the changes of 7 items here. I would really appreciate if we went by each item. I understand pretty good, but if we could explain each one so I could have a little better understanding, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
If the committee would like me to go item by item, I'm happy to do so.
Which items are we referring to?
I'd like to go over quickly all 7.
Where's the 7 listed? I just want to make sure I'm looking in the right place, the same place as you.
Front page. Additional of distribution activities to allow activities for county license holders. I don't quite understand what that means.
I believe this is the first page of the staff report under the project description that he's speaking of. Where bullet points just what the changes were.
Thank you. Okay.
That way I can understand the changes that we're talking about better.
I can pull up the staff report and show it. One thing to keep in mind is that there are a couple of summaries, but all the detailed changes were attached to the staff report. So that goes sort of word by word what the changes were as well. So there's some small changes that wouldn't be talked about in sort of the broader summary as well.
Peter, attachment A has the summary of the changes.
All right.
I've seen it like 10 times.
Sorry. So Peter, were you asking that Delaney read through the proposal, the 7 summary proposal things again with more detail?
That would be helpful for me if possible. If not possible, don't do it.
I do just want to be sensitive to time. We've got about 12 minutes left of our scheduled meeting time.
And there is a pretty detailed summary.
I'm looking at
the packet too.
Yeah, and attachment A, like she said.
I guess maybe, is there any of the 7 that doesn't make sense that we want to, that you want some more detail on specifically?
No, I'm rereading it again, so just pass over me, that's fine.
And I think James.
Sorry, and James, were you still waiting to comment?
Yeah, I think I was muted last time. So I wanted to comment back on Fred's comment about being scared of seeing the nursery operations kind of fill with cannabis. But my comment is I'd much rather see these nurseries fill up with cannabis than end up with another Bay City incident. And I feel like this is one of the few crops we have right now that people are seeing potential in, people are willing to invest in, people are willing to put in the money to restore this kind of infrastructure to where it needs to be able to produce something. So yeah, I think the reduction of these limitations is a great step forward.
And in response to that, James, when I said scared is looking at it from day one, right? When we first start considering if we're going to have a cannabis policy or allow cannabis cultivation or not.
Yeah.
And looking at it now, you start realizing that the market dynamics and other elements have a much greater influence on, what happens with the property and the cultivation of cannabis. So.
James, could you describe the Bay City incident? I'm unfamiliar.
With Bay City closing, we know that, or I personally know that before they did have to shut down, that they were entertaining offers and were trying to find cannabis operators to come and take over that operation. But I'm sure one of the harder things for finding a buyer was a lot of these kinds of restrictions.
Thank you.
And ultimately, they went from, I think, one of our largest local ag employers to being out of business.
Yeah, the nursery industry in San Mateo County was one of the largest ones in California, 50 years ago. And, cost of living, loss of infrastructure, and just other aspects of, as development goes on, that industry has just been really hit hard. Competition and moving elsewhere. So trying to find a way to bring that industry back and to support that industry. You go, well, do you want cannabis to be that? I don't think there's anything else that could take its place, really, to be a crop that is economically viable and that can still survive in the economic environment of San Mateo County. So.
I just want, it looks like Joseph, you may have your hand up again. Was that from your first comment, or did you have another comment to make?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Thank you again for your time. I have a second comment to make. I heard that someone was looking for what revenue that the cultivators are making. I think that's a little bit personal, because that's like asking how much do you make? I think businesses are okay with talking about our cultivation report and our crop yields or basically what we're growing. I think that's fine, because like I said, it's ag, but to go into how much revenue that you're making, cost of goods and things of that sort, I think that should stay as trade secret as any other business. Secondly, on the 66,000 square foot canopy that we were talking about, as you know, in the agriculture business, you need scale. You need scale to disperse the labor cost, the licensing cost, the fees that we pay to the water board and everything like that. So if it made $1 gazillion, yes, I think that would make sense. But this is an ag crop, and we all see that are in this industry today, all over the country, that the prices are basically destroyed. No one is making money. A lot of people are laying off people. A lot of people are throwing in the towel. However, it's still better than other money-losing crops. So if the intent was to try to save agriculture in San Mateo County, help us, work with us. We're willing to do anything to work with county to make the industry grow. As a matter of fact, if we create it like Napa County, if we have the appellations that the best comes from San Mateo County, it's true that the best comes from California. And if it does become federally legal, it creates an opportunity. It creates ag tourism. It creates basically pride into the county again. Help work with the farmers. For me, my background is 20 years in investment banking. However, I always loved to work in the backyard. And now that I have an opportunity, I am working with my hands and my boots inside the dirt, working with all kinds, like I said, nitrogen, potassium, things that I learned on how to grow and how to become a farmer. So you also have to give us the same opportunities to let us grow, not to kill the infants while they're still babies.
What was that last comment? I didn't hear it.
Basically, you don't want to kill basically the growing child, right? We're trying to create a business. We're trying to grow and become competitive. It is the agriculture business that needs the economy of scale like any other business, and to allow us to grow and to work with us to help us grow. So then you do get your tax dollars. We do create jobs, and ag doesn't disappear from San Mateo County. We want to protect ag. We want to protect the family farms, give them an opportunity to grow, to develop revenue. That's all we ask.
Yeah. I hadn't heard anyone make a negative comment really about the proposal. So it sounded somewhat defensive, but I do personally, have a concern with seeing that become the only agricultural or one of the only agricultural activities that is happening on the coast. So I am in favor of there being alternatives, and have personal experience with being able to, market a product directly to consumers and have that be financially viable. And I know that's kind of off the table with the cannabis, because I think that's probably what people would be more concerned about, even though down the road, actual dispensing of the product might be a way to make it successful. But it seems that in the interim, changing it so that the distribution license could be concluded is something that we're hearing that the growers would very much benefit from.
Absolutely. That's going to give them that opportunity to market their own products. Not directly to the consumer, but to the folks who do interact with the consumer. I think Fred's got his hand up.
Yeah, see if I'm not muted or not. Yeah, regarding the revenue, I mean, that was, I think that Carrie's question was concerning revenue to the county. And the initial, some counties, when they passed their cannabis policies, were charging 12, 13, 20, I can't remember how much, dollar per square foot of cannabis cultivated. And so that was to be paid to the county. San Mateo County, in its efforts to support the industry and let the child grow, decided not to impose those types of fees, and just to see what happens with the market itself as it develops. The county does charge substantial fees for the applications and to issue the county permit through the planning department. And and so they're getting cost recovery there. But at this point in time, I don't think the county really has realized much more than cost recovery with regards to cannabis. So, but yeah, Joseph, we're not going to be poking around to find out how much you guys sell, or how much you're making. Although if it becomes a federal crop, you'll start getting federal crop report surveys, and they'll be hounding you to the end of your days.
Yeah,
as they
we
do.
will eventually hound you.
Bill's got his hand up, and then I've also got my hand up.
Take mine down.
Yeah, Bill, I think you're muted, Bill. I think you're muted, Bill.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Lauren, I mean, back in the day, you and I did a lot of testifying at the state level and county level, and did a lot of work together on getting these ordinances through. And it's my recollection that that the state regulation not allow somebody to sell directly from their farm. Is that correct?
Yes.
Due to the zoning?
And not just that, it's the zoning as well. But as we were talking, there's horizontal license structure, so you need a separate dispensary license.
Right.
And that needs to be in a
There
retail,
was sort of a micro
commercial zoned area. Sorry, go ahead.
Right, thank you. There was as I recall, there was a micro license that sort of the intention of the voters at that time was for the small operators to be able to grow sort of boutique on their farm and then sell directly. But because of the way the regulations were written, that that was not possible to happen, and it ended up kind of forcing things into much larger operators. We're the only people who could really economically afford to even get into the business. So it's, you know, it's kind of a handicap that I would like to see removed, however that could be done, to support the small growers who really are the people who supported this industry for the last 50 or 60 years, that now are, you know, on the fringes and forced to basically operate illegally, while larger businesses are able to come in and sort of dominate the market. So I'm on my soapbox a little bit. My apologies for that, but thanks for the clarification on that. But I agree with a fellow who was speaking earlier that San Mateo County and the coast side has, shall we say, a rich history in the cannabis industry. And I think that there is a, just like the wine country, and you go to different wineries and so forth, you know, I would think that that would be a viable business model. Would the regulatory path be cleared on that? So there's my speech for the moment, more to come. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Well, I was just gonna say, in the interest of time, are we feeling good with discussions? Ready for a motion on this? Because if there's no other discussion, I'd like to make a motion that we recommend this
I would
item.
move that we support.
Up, I beat you to it, Bill. You can second my motion when I finish it. I'd like to make a motion that we support the proposed changes to the cannabis ordinance.
I second. Was that fast enough?
Okay, are we ready for a roll call vote?
Do it.
Okay. Okay, this is item 12. Okay. Judy,
Pass on me right now.
okay, circle back. James,
I'm in favor.
Natalie,
Natalie, I believe, dropped off.
okay. Louis not here. Jonathan,
Yes.
John,
Honestly, I'd like to have more time to review all the changes. I apologize. I didn't read through them carefully before the meeting.
okay, I'm not sure what to do with that because we got emotional.
I
people.
would abstain.
Okay. Bill,
Yes.
Peter,
I'm going to abstain.
Ryan.
I'm going to abstain as well.
Okay, interesting. Fred.
I am an aye, but do we still have a quorum?
Yes, we only lost Natalie, so we have, we're only down 2.
Okay.
And a quorum is 6, I believe.
Correct.
And I'm Lauren, I vote yes. And so Judy, it comes down to you.
Oh, dear. You know, I think I'm going to go with an abstain on this one right now. I read it and there's still some things I have some concern about. So I guess I just need more time.
Okay, then that means unfortunately the vote fails. Only 5 yeses. So it sounds like folks would like some more time to consider this. Do we want to continue conversations on this on our next meeting so that folks have more time to review?
I think so.
Just
This
a
is
question.
Peter, I heard you
ahead,
are
Peter.
supportive of that, and Bill, it sounds like you got a question.
Yes, I had a question. how many votes does it take to pass it with the number of members that are currently in the meeting?
Great question. I thought we needed 6, but maybe actually you're totally right. Maybe I'm reading this wrong and getting mixed up with the quorum question. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 votes. And we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yeses and 1, 2, 3, 4 abstentions. So I guess a majority of the voters did vote yes. So would that pass? Okay, I'm getting a nod.
5 would be a
Summer.
pass.
Thank you for catching that, Bill. My brain's a little fried at this point. So then in that case, the motion passes. Okay.
I'm gonna have to drop off. I apologize. Today's my dad's 93rd birthday and there's cake downstairs. And so he
Happy
gave-
birthday to your dad.
Yeah, he gave me till 9 o'clock.
You're fired.
Yeah, so I'm gonna drop
I
off.
move that leave the meeting.
We'll see you all next month.
And
See you
do
later.
we need to make a motion to move the next item to the next meeting?
Yes, yes.
Okay, then I'm gonna move that we move item 13 to the next meeting due to timing.
Thank you, Lauren.
I'll second.
Okay. Sorry, I have to also write this the minutes as I go, seconded by Bill. Okay, last vote of the night. Judy,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Fred's gone, and I'm Lauren, and I vote yes. Okay, that passes. So I think we can just adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. Good job, John.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Peter.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Do you mind just saying meeting adjourned, John?
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you,
At
everyone.
9:07.
Right.
Thanks,
How's
guys.
it go?
See you next month.
Good month, everybody.
See you. Good night.